Hello, everybody. It's Metaverse Monday. Welcome to Chatting with the Masters of the Metaverse. My name is Christian Doyle, one of the co-creators of Masters of the Metaverse. I'm joined today by James Durham, our current head writer and GM of the show. We are here today to talk about this last season. Well, in fact, all of the seasons. I believe we got the great OD over in chat. If he's not there yet, he will be soon.
He will. He'll be joining us there with you guys.
That way we can all be here to answer all of your questions. And there have been a lot. If you've ever looked at the Discord Metaverse page on a Tuesday, you will know that there are questions galore on this show. We are going to answer quite a few of those today because a lot of them are questions about the background and what's been going on behind the scenes, things that we can actually answer without ruining the story for you. So we're gonna do some of that today.
They gave us quite a list of questions, and I've gone over them, and just about all of them we're going to be able to answer. And the ones that we can't for whatever reason, there's still things about them we can answer.
Yeah, there are things we can say, there are things we can't say. Well, there's things we can say, but we would literally be ruining stuff to do so.
We'll steer you more in the right direction, though, than some of these little odd ones that come up. But, I kind of want to do this first. Can I do this first?
Yeah, of course.
So we got this wonderful package in the mail today. Christian and I both did, which I'm going to take a second and show off. Check that out, guys.
That's right, the very latest Season 4 edition of Tales from the Metaverse.
Yep, the newest one.
We're pretty excited. Thanks, Paximo.
Thank you, Pax.
I haven't been through the whole thing yet. I got as far as opening up the box and handing that to James.
I read a bit.
I read a bit too, but this is mostly stuff that has come out over the
season,
right?
We have read it, but it has an interesting flow to it. It's different. Like it's not done in the chronological order that the stories were necessarily released, but done in an order that the flow goes into them. So the story actually is written in as opposed to when they came out, if that makes any sense at all.
It makes plenty of sense to me anyway.
But, until you all pay for her to be able to print off multiple copies of it, you're just never going to get a chance to read it.
I think that's something we should start implementing in seasons, like when you maybe when you win a golden waffle or something, you can opt to get a free free PDF of the Tales from the Metaverse.
That is a brilliant idea.
For whichever season you'd like.
That is a brilliant idea. So how do you want to start it, Christian?
Well, I mean, we have a lot to dig into today.
We do.
And you have all the questions.
I do have a pile of questions for you. I thought maybe you might want to talk about that over there first.
So
it's up to you.
Yeah, no, we're going to talk a little bit. One of the big questions this season, one of the things that we introduced this season were, of course, class levels for all of the pilots. We found out that there are 5 class levels, and that all of the pilots are in various areas of the spectrum. One of the things that I definitely want to clear up from the beginning was why did all of the pilots from that group read as 5s in that episode?
Oh yes, there was a very, very specific
reason. And there was a very, very specific reason. But before we get to that, I'm going to go through what the different class levels do. So we will start with Class 1. Class 1 pilots are able to enter avatars and control them in the metaverse. That is all they can do. You can put them in a metapod, and you can have them go into an avatar, but they don't bring anything back with them.
Class 1s can't use places of power, is that correct?
They can if they can attune to it, but because of their low class, it's much harder for them to attune to places of power.
So they really need that extra technological boost from the metapod.
At Class 2, the pilot begins to experience bleed. Now what that means is that they can take skills that they have learned, and up to a certain extent powers and abilities from that avatar, and bring them back into the Prime Metaverse with them temporarily. It is
temporarily. That's the important part for 2s. The bleed is temporary.
Well, bleed, as it stands, because of what it is always temporary. But the higher level pilots hold on to things for a longer period of time. Level 2 pilots experience bleed. That's what separates them from the level 1s. They are very useful as agents.
They just require continued exposure in the metaverse to retain or have powers or abilities beyond what they normally have.
Class 3 pilots, this is where things get interesting, are able to bond. Class 3s have bondings.
Oh,
Berserk has a question. How many powers can 2s have? However many that they currently have in Bleed.
Yep, it depends on what they're getting bleed from, you know.
If they've jumped into a lot of metaverses with a lot of different avatars, they may have Bleed from several different avatars, but it's not going to last forever. At Class 3, they can bond with an avatar. A single avatar they can bond with, that will be their bonded avatar. They gain permanent abilities from them.
Bonding is permanent.
Up to and including power. Most of the Masters of the Metaverse and Project Metaverse pilots are in that class. They are level 3 pilots.
Yep, the vast majority.
The vast majority. It's not the most common, but it's the most common powerful class of pilot. It's the first class of pilot that is considered a full pilot.
Yes, Class 3s are the first official full pilot. Everything below that isn't really a full pilot. Different metaverses have different designations for it, but 3s are where real pilots begin.
Class 4 pilots have the ability to bond multiple avatars. That means that they can bond more than one avatar and keep powers from more than one avatar. However, they can only use a power from one bonded avatar at a time. They have to basically switch that bond mid-battle. We haven't seen a lot of this because we've only really been introduced to 1 or 2 Class 4 pilots. They are exceedingly rare.
Mm-hmm. And some of them have some weird quirks and such about them as well.
Yeah, they are more prone to glitching than Class 5s or Class 3 because of the nature of their bond. It doesn't work the same way as it does for level 3s because
they are almost in essence a class of pilots that shouldn't be.
Right.
More than 3s, less than 5s. Glitching, aka as in strange things that happen. I don't know anything about 6s or secret classes. Sorry. That's all you, bud.
Class 5 pilots can bond multiple avatars, use abilities from multiple avatars, and are completely and totally crash. And that's pretty much the 5 pilots, right?
That's the
That's the 5
classification.
classes of pilots. We've met 2 Class 5s so far on the show, and really 1 Class 4 that we've decided is a Class 4.
And we've got some stuff on here about those too. But yeah, let's cover a little more on that. We have we've confirmed 2 pilots on the show are Class 5, and Andy James and Crash Jackson are 100% Class 5 pilots. There was no hidden bit about those 2 all the way through.
No, that doesn't mean they're related.
See? Doesn't mean they're related.
Means it's more likely for them to be related statistically, but they aren't necessarily.
This is correct. Let's see. Anything more about the 4s and glitching? Because we do have some glitching 4s on the show.
Yeah, well, all of our 4s are glitching on the show in one way or the other. That's what
of the 4s.
That's why the 4s are my favorite in a lot of ways because they're the glitchiest and they have the most things go wrong. Who do you think the 4s are? What would be your guess? I am curious. Hellcat says Nick, and it's a pretty interesting guess. Zenda is a 4, says Paximo. Tom, Nick, and Zenda, says Alien Knitter. Tom is not a pilot.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to give up that spoiler.
Did he mean Thomas?
He may have meant Thomas.
AK, did you mean Thomas? Thomas, okay, yeah. Tom, not a pilot. Thomas, yes.
Yes, so.
Thomas, yes.
Those are all good and, from what I understand, correct guesses, right? Tom, Nick, and Zenda are our 4s.
Tom, Nick, and Zenda are 4s.
Or Thomas, Nick, and Zenda.
Excuse me, Thomas. Sorry, you caught me on
Thomas, Nick, and Zenda are our level 4 pilots, and you can see that they have had
multiple avatars.
And glitches. They all suffer from these weird
Yes.
glitches.
Well, let's see. We've covered
makes,
a lot
It
on
makes
that.
them harder to kill than 5s, though.
It does, but there's a lot of things about 5s that we have only barely scratched the surface on yet.
And the question I promised to answer was, of course, why did all of those pilots read as 5s to Zenda?
Go ahead.
That group had recently just returned from the Galaxy Tales universe, the very first time we went there, in which Kit Foxman gained the Titan Force, and then did something kind of unprecedented because of his connection to Crash, and shared the Titan Force with all of the pilots. So therefore, the bleed that they got when they came back into their pilot forms on Prime were still basically glowing with this strange cosmic energy that made them read as 5s.
Correct.
They were basically all
That's
acting as
right,
5s.
Hellcat.
Temporary bleed, exactly.
Temporary bleed.
Because
Yes, it was from Crash. It was actually from a hack that you used.
that will most likely be listed among Crash's crimes when the trial happens. That was not a smart thing for him to do.
Well, that depends on your point of view, Berserk. At the time, they were reading as 5s.
Yes, well, yeah, no. Technically, he was right at the moment, but in the long run, no. He is. Yeah, he was. He was
In
wrong.
the long run, he was wrong.
Yeah, they're a mix of 3s and 4s.
Okay, I have a whole list of questions here to get to. I'm actually going to pull back and get the one that's not in my giant list of questions first so that I don't miss it because it's kind of an important one.
All right, first question.
Let me roll up here and make sure I get the right one. This one is from Keen. What was the plan if the team didn't come up with a way to best Kronos in the pit? And he was referencing the shovel monster episode with the underground pit. And the plan was, and I don't necessarily plan, but the outcome of that, had they failed to stop it, would have been Kronos' ability to immediately remake the entirety of the Earth 668 planet, making it a hostile place for all of the residents there, including all the people in Sentinel City, Ezekiel's Empire of the Sun, essentially wiping out the entirety of the planet. They would no longer be of a sufficient force to offer any resistance. He would then utilize his power to have Heinrich become his avatar in the Prime world and expand his power to there, and the players would have had to face him in Metaverse Prime and try and stop him as opposed to an Earth 668. Meaning, no hordes of superheroes, no Titan Force, no mega powers, just plain
the
old
Genesis device.
pilots.
Yeah, very much the Genesis device.
Very much
in
so.
a lot of ways.
All right, so that one was not on my list. It was the only one that wasn't on here. So now I can.
So we're
pull up
moving to the list
giant-
questions
The
now.
list questions. This one's from Mark. My first question: how does Bruno get arrested, but Colonel Jackson gets off scot-free? Well, without spoiling too much of next season, the easy part is Bruno committed crimes according to ME, and Colonel Jackson has not.
Not to mention, what did we say that Jawbridge was guarded by? The military.
That's right.
Colonel Jackson is still a colonel.
Still active.
He can go where he wants to go.
Give you something to think about there. When you consider involvement in the metaverse travel and such, how many other pilots are being arrested?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah, anybody who's a main cast member on either Project or Masters of the Metaverse was arrested.
Oh, is that confirmed? Have we only met 2 of the 3 natural class 5s?
Ooh, that's a. I mean, yes, I think we've only met 2.
Yes, that applies. That applies. That is correct.
So Tessa is not a class 5.
Tessa is not a class 5.
That would definitely be saying that. Why wouldn't the Tom pilots get arrested by Metaverse Enforcement before we battled them if he knew that we were working towards stopping Tom? Stopping Tom is not part of Metaverse Enforcement's job. Creating Tom was not part of Metaverse Enforcement's job or responsibilities. But we'll cover things like that in the next season.
It's the types of infractions, so
Yes.
it's all based on what those crimes were, and Tom didn't commit any crimes until a certain point.
Yes.
And
We'll cover that.
yeah,
Does Joe's Diner have... Oh, excuse me. Sorry, this one is from Merkworky. Does Joe's Diner have any kind of relation to Callahan's Cross Time Saloon.
Sadly, no. That would be great, but we've done Joe's for going on 20 some years now, and that was much more what's the word I'm looking for? A Stephen Prust book that I read that I really liked.
Okay. Oh, we got one from Berserk here. A bad friend.
Ah, yes, Clinton Gordon.
What is
Bastard.
Thomas? What is Thomas? He was a scout before, and now he is a pilot. How did that happen?
Well, that is very much a Chris question in a lot of ways.
That is very much a Chris question in a lot of ways.
But I can say that in order to be a scout, he had to have the pilot gene.
Yes.
And the least amount is known about 4s and 5s because they're the most rare.
Yes.
They assumed he was a 2 and they were wrong because they didn't really understand the levels of stuff.
Yes. All of those things are true and don't giving away anything important. I like that. This one's from Pax. Is Isaiah genetically related to Crash or Colonel Jackson? And I can answer this one quite easily. Yes.
Who did they ask about?
Isaiah.
Oh, Isaiah.
Is
Yes.
Isaiah genetically related to Crash or Colonel Jackson? Yes.
Specifically genetically related.
This one I've got no answer for. I leave to you, and maybe you can join us for this one if you want and you're not busy. Who
She's
do you
super
ship
busy.
each avatar with?
Who would we ship?
Who do you ship each avatar with? This one is from Fadior.
Ah. Got romance on the brain, Fadior. That's okay. That's okay. This is what the show's about.
Who the heck's Destiny and Johnny Legion?
So we got Hex Destiny and Johnny Legion coming from Maggie over there, who you can't see.
Yeah, clearly, yeah. Avatar, yeah, all right.
All right, that's sorry.
Let's see. I have always been fond of, I think, Gatling and Ninja Emily Dickinson. I think they should have ended up together.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly had some chemistry. Let's see. Presto and Kit.
Oh yeah, Presto and Kit, 100%.
Presto and Kit is a match made in heaven.
Mm-hmm. Presto and Kit. Not really Avatar per se. One of them was Andy James is Billy the Kid, and Pat Garrett.
Pat Garrett, yeah, no, I would say Andy DeJames, Billy the Kid, and Tom.
Yeah.
That was one of my
Kid
favorite
and Tom
episodes
also.
of that show was having them in the same body.
I can't really think of too many other ones.
Odie says, "If you say so, Foxman. If you say so." Odie,
Yep.
I wish you were here, buddy. I really do.
Me too. Me too. Oh, okay. We got another one here. Most challenging hack attacks. And I actually want to kick this one to both you two first.
Yeah, I want Odie to answer this question.
Chris?
What was your most annoying hack attack? Because my favorite thing in season 1 was watching Odie react to the hack attacks and get so like, oh, how do I make this work? And
Jumanji one is the one he hated the most.
the Jumanji hack attack?
That was
Oh.
the one he hated the most.
Yeah, that's right.
Jumanji.
Was that one of the real world ones?
It was in Aliens, Dolphin Aliens.
Oh yes, in the Dolphin Aliens one. Oh man, yeah, he's like, yes, he hated the Jumanji hack attack. I don't think I've ever seen him madder at chat.
Wow.
What was your worst?
First one, all the way, when I wasn't even running the game when you guys kicked the hack for Tom to decide what was inside of the boat that you dropped out of the sky. I was not prepared to pick something that would go inside, and being as it was like my first show, I kind of was on edge already and having a hard
You
time
wanted to make
thinking.
sure you kept it appropriate. I remember you were like, oh, I gotta make sure I keep everything
Yep.
nice and PC.
Yep. So what did I do? Of course, I put the Republican National Convention in there because
right, on the boat.
that was like totally not doing something, controversial at all.
Yeah, people complain that we're too political, and I can never understand why. And then, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oops.
For me, like the most challenging, I don't know. I've always been pretty like when I'm GMing, I've always been like, if the hack attack happens, I'm just gonna let it be, play it as it lies. With like, I do as little changing to the hack as possible in order to like, just because I don't feel like they should fit, Like I love it when hack attacks fit and they move the story along, but as a GM, especially in my style, I really prefer just to have like the weird crap just randomly happen. Like, and where did that come from? And that's what the metaverse is doing right then.
I like it.
Gosh, ooh. There was the time that they immolated Nickelback. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Which, this all bleeds into the next question, which was, what was your favorite hack attack from this season, and which one did you think had the biggest impact? For me, my favorite hack attack was in Toyland when PAX gave the hack for the little miniature Christmas that they had, where they got little packages for them hidden out in the woods that had little things that were beneficial to the team. That was probably my favorite one of those. And I think that Wyatt's hack for the watch that he still has probably had the biggest impact in the show because it's kicked in at least 3
other
episodes.
than Robopal. Robopal's going to have the most long-term consequences in the show.
Yes. Robopo is definitely responsible for the longest, biggest consequences.
That's going to be Robopal existing in Metaverse Prime.
That's a game changer.
Yeah, that's gonna change everything. And you did that. Nice job. Oh, the Oblivion Water, though. Oh, you're absolutely right, AK.
What are some of your favorite pack stories? You can't actually ask me to pick.
No, I love them all. I love.
If I had to pick one, like you're asking me to do the impossible, the one that sticks out the most to me is still way back in the beginning of Project Metaverse, the Abby and Butch story. When Butch just,
I love all the Abigail stories. Period.
When Butch just lets Abby beat on him until that one probably had the most impact.
Yeah, it definitely had the most impact in reverse on the story that any of her stories have. I mean, the introduction of Abigail as a character, even in just the stories in the fiction, and then having that character cross over into the game world, and having that game world character cross over as a pilot avatar, and then creating a relationship.
Yes.
And that relationship is based 100% on their interaction in those stories, and the hacks that came afterwards. Obviously, Yosemite, Mount Rushmore, all of that.
Very much so. Anything else? Aqua's backstory, that could most definitely be a factor.
I still love the old Weird West ones with Johnny Appleseed.
Very much so.
Just because I miss that character so much.
This one's from Hellcat also. How do you flesh out ideas for the different metaverses? Well, if we can use the yesterday when we were talking as any example.
We made a metaverse yesterday, by the way.
Christian tells me what he wants, and I figure out how to build that.
Yeah.
That's the closest way I can really explain it to break it
for
down.
this one, that's how that worked.
That's how that one worked. That's not how they all worked, but yesterday that's how that one worked.
Well, when we did Galaxy Tales, we were like, let's do ridiculous furry animals in space. Why not?
And then I wanted to make it a cartoon because I wanted to add it to another pre-existing metaverse and tie it in.
Mm-hmm. And that metaverse had no avatars, so it worked out really well.
Sort of a strange long-term plan I had at the time. But yeah, that's kind of how we flesh it out for the most part. I mean, they come from all over the place. They really do. There's no... the idea behind the what we refer to loosely as the Iron Kingdom.
That came
from Maggie.
That came from Maggie. Yeah.
What?
The idea for the Iron Kingdom.
She said one sentence, and then we created a metaverse from one sentence.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that works.
That's one of those where we built the characters first and built the world around them.
Yep.
Which is always a fun exercise to do, and not something that we always do.
Rarely. At least for me, I usually do it the other way. I figure out where we're going to go first. Let's see. This one's from Pax. What has been your favorite world so far, and what world would be a world you would like to create? Well, we're going to be doing a lot of the ones I would like to create in the next season. They in fact, are covering a lot of things I have wanted to do. A lot of what we've done previously was revisiting places we've been, tying in places we've been, and working with material that was already created by other people. Not a tremendous amount of actual metaverses were created by me in the last season.
Oh, I disagree.
Maybe fleshed out, but I don't feel like they were created.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think you had a huge hand in creating the world that the Borks are from. You know, that was our first real collaboration together, was that episode.
It was.
Toyland.
Toyland was a creation
Toyland
from
is
scratch.
completely and the whole Harvester storyline. Zenda's world.
That's just a background world. It's different. It's not
Yeah,
the
but
same.
we're gonna end up there at some point.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Have to.
You know, that's the thing. Once we mention a place, chances are we're gonna have to see it. The Galaxy Tales metaverse. So there's 3, just right there, and that's how many.
Then again, like Galaxy Tales was created to connect other metaverses.
I'm sorry,
together.
but 3 metaverses in one season. That's how many we went through in the first season. Okay. And we went to like 8 this season.
And we're going to do a lot more next season.
Yeah, the video game world that Crash grew up in.
Yeah.
I mean, hold on.
Oops.
Yeah.
You just dropped that one out there. Uh-oh. Let's see. We got another one here from Pax. This one's an easy one to answer. Is the reason Bruno felt nothing when the Joes was destroyed that his bonded avatar was already dead and there was no connection to sever? No, that isn't the reason, because Bruno's bonded avatar, Iconoclast, is not dead.
That is
Not
true.
dead.
100% true.
Not dead.
That
Kind of his shtick.
That character does not die easily.
This one's from Bad Friend.
Bad friend.
What has been your most surprising moment as a GM? Either chat or player cost.
Let's kick that over to Chris too. Chris, the question is.
What has been your most surprising moment as a GM? You've gotten to have a lot of time with it. Either chat or player cost.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to know.
How about you?
For me, my most surprising moment. Oh man, for chat it was the hack with the Titan ghosts.
That was pretty cool.
That one got me. For players, the moment that I don't know if it surprised me the most, but it still sticks out to me the most in that season was the whole Jesse James, Annie Oakley, and when they did
the meltdown?
when they did the meltdown and switched, and they were just lampooning each other.
I'm Jesse James.
I did not expect that to happen at all during that meltdown, and I absolutely adored it. It might be one of my favorite metaverse moments of all time. Like I want that clip over and over again. Just, I'm Jesse James. I love it.
Yeah, it was very good.
That's got to be it.
So that's our favorite player surprise?
Definitely.
All right. For me, I didn't do much in the way of GMing this season.
Not too many.
Or just the back to the Magical Space Princess episode. Oh yeah, that.
Good call on that one. Oh,
when
man.
I grabbed Helen's leg, that might be one of my favorite moments of the show of all time.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of fun stuff in that little run we did of Toyland.
Yeah.
Terrifying people into inaction with a room full of balloons still ranks up there on one of my favorite accomplishments.
the room full of balloons.
And that's it.
The entire party.
Just balloons. That's.
I like it when James kills baby dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I like the glee that's in his face when he's about to do something terrible to us.
It's kind of fun. There we are. Aggro to heal.
Oh yeah, that was a great moment.
That was.
Also, can we just talk about the great character arc that we had for Brony Robbins this season?
Oh man.
Like doing the full babyface turn towards the end and accepting the bromance.
That was.
Kudos to you, Andy. Kudos. You have an MVP award for at least 2 episodes.
That was some great stuff. I liked that a lot. Ooh,
I love Maximo in all caps. I love Brony so much.
Brash Bros.
And at the beginning, I don't think she was a fan. I don't think that she loved Brony at the beginning.
No one was supposed to be a fan of Brony in the beginning. We created him to be offensive.
He was an asshole. He was supposed to be an asshole.
We went out of our way to make him insanely offensive.
Yeah, and and Andy Doporowski did a really good job of making him obnoxious while still likable.
He made him the most lovable, obnoxious shit ever.
Yeah, love that dude.
Probable genocidal killer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, we got a fun one for you. This one's from Pax. And I know that you can answer this one, and it's a fun one.
Who's this?
What is the history of Crash and Cole? This is from Pax.
Cole helped train Crash when he was younger, and he is not a nice teacher, as it turns out.
Not at all. How about why do Riptide and Johnny Legion hate each other? Also from Pax, connected. Same question.
That's a 668 question. That's easy. There was a girl.
Yep. That is why Riptide and Johnny Legion hate each other.
It's all over a girl.
This one, not so much, but I'll try. From Bad Friend, can the whole... hang on, I'm getting Pax messaged. 1 second. Can the whole 2 Nick thing finally be explained? And the picture with Nick and Rosie, and what was discussed at the meeting at Mount Rushmore. Let's see, can the whole 2 Nick thing be explained? No. And the picture with Nick and Rosie? No. And what was discussed at the meeting of Mount Rushmore? Distrust. All right, this one's also from Bad Friend. What factors led Tom to decide that him taking control of all avatars would ensure the safety of the metaverse? I mean, that I have to answer that one is fairly obvious. I mean, have you not seen what happens in metaverses?
Shit goes down.
I mean, you must understand that Tom doesn't have the perspective that we have. Tom is a very binary perspective based on things that are or are not. And we are not responsible in his eyes. The net loss is too high.
He saw the same things Rhodes saw, in a lot of ways.
Very, very much so. Let's see. What is the relationship between Tom and Thomas? I'm going to let you answer this one because I don't want to give too much away.
Okay, what is the relationship between Tom and Thomas? Tom based his own creation on Thomas's existence.
Yes.
Thomas should not have existed because Thomas was dead, but found a way to ghost himself in the machine. Tom basically just took a very like mimeograph style copy of that and built all of his programming on top of it.
Yeah, that about covers it. Let's see, we answered this one, but I'll put it in. This is also from Pax. What level pilot is Nick? We did at the beginning.
He's a 4.
And does Tessa look like Crash's mom? I'll kick that one over to you.
I think Tessa looks as much like her mom as Crash looks like his dad.
I think that's on the list, Fadior, but I'll get to it.
Did that sound like I was being vague?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Good. Let's see. What is a moment that you are proud of from this season, either your character or someone else's? I kind of feel like we covered that with the brownie thing a little bit, but if there any other one you want to think of that you're particularly proud of? For me, there are so many from Luke that it's hard to pick one. Like Luke and Jess both, just like so many different times, wonderful moments they created that just...
Yeah,
I loved it.
I liked seeing the relationships developing between the characters who hadn't interacted before, based on past history that we just told them they had. The evolution of Bruno Hamilton.
Yep. I'm particularly fond of that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, this one's a great one for you, Christian. How did you find the Project Metaverse cast originally? How was it pitched to them?
The Project Metaverse cast are all people that I have worked with over the years, who I knew, with the exception of Luke, I knew were not gamers. They were people who I knew I could work with in in an improvising way, very, very well and very easily. And I thought they would be good at the parts that we had written. Like, those were the people I wanted to be on the show. And all I said was, hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you know what this is? And they're like, no, I don't know what that is. I don't even know what actual play streaming is. I said, great. Don't watch the show. Show up on Monday. Here's who your character is. So they didn't watch the show. They had no idea what they were getting into. That first episode with the Borks was like, that shock was all real.
Yep,
and
100%.
That's what made that such a good. That's probably in my opinion, one of the best episodes that this show's ever been.
That was pure, real shock. There was no.
And
we did not brief them on any of it.
And luckily, when we asked them back, they came back. We got really lucky. They love it now. Jess, who is the least gamer of all of us,
adores it. She's in.
This is therapy. This is entertainment. This is everything that she loves it.
What was the
We all
point?
do.
Also connected, all from Keen. These are all the same bracket of questions. What was the point system for? And what did their tiers and achievements mean? And are they still getting points? Why or why not? Points were being utilized by Tom. The sole purpose of accumulating points for both chat, Tom, and the pilots was for him to use them. They are a finite resource. This ties in directly to another question later where you were asking how Tom replicated powers used by other avatars and pilots. That's how he did it.
He used all those points you earned. Congratulations.
You charged his battery, he charged his battery, and he used other people to charge his battery.
That's right. Your hard-earned dollars that you spent on this show made our villain much more powerful. I still say that was kind of a mean trick.
It was kind of a mean trick, which is exactly why I did it.
But that also doesn't mean that there aren't. That means that points are still in play.
Points are
whether they
still in
should
play.
be or not.
And is Tom the only one who can use that resource?
No, you just got to.
Of course not.
No. Oh no! You didn't. He stole some of your points, AK. Just some of them.
A lot of them.
A lot of them, yeah. Luckily, he had a lot of his own to start with, so
That's
he
true.
He didn't have to start skimming until much later.
And he had to burn a lot of juice there at the end, though.
Yeah.
Let's see. What we got here? Is Isaiah related to the missing children from the Founders? No. How many points is chat at currently? As it said, we're still gaining points. Why is chat? We just kind of answered that one, and I'm not going to tell you how many points you're at. I'm just not going to. We will eventually cover that, I'm sure. Here's a great one from AK. What did Hex and Balthazar do while they were in the Prime Metaverse since we didn't have time to see it on screen?
Tell him.
Well, they first popped over to the desert to, they were going there to save Bruno initially because Bruno had been mortally wounded. Except when they arrived there at that place of power in the desert, Bruno was not mortally wounded. They had no job to do. So they just brought Bruno and Andy back to Nevada. That's all they really had to do. Bruno was just fine. Shouldn't have been, but somehow was. And I think we've figured out why at this point he was just fine. Bruno's still completely oblivious to this. Yeah. This one's from PAX. Is chat why the metapods work?
No. But the metapods are why chat works.
There we go. Is there anything character-wise or GM-wise you wish you had been able to explore more this season? Yeah, the Iron Kingdom specifically. The weather interfered with us.
Yeah, we got really cut off during that time, and that's too bad. We had like 2 more episodes planned and that we didn't get to go to, and we really needed to move on just based on who we had available.
Yep, scheduling and everything got in the way of that one, but that was very much something that I felt like we didn't get to do what we wanted to do. Toyland was originally scheduled to be 4, but we were running out of time on that one, so I shortened it to 3. Both of those were things that I wanted to expand upon significantly.
Yeah, and I think we're going to go back to the Iron Kingdom, but because of the way chat interacted with that particular place, it's going to be a much different place when we go back.
We have had this conversation.
Yeah.
Ain't it grand? Let's see. This one's also from PAX. Don't worry, I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm just making sure I name everyone in here, and you actually, just like I was saying in Discord, I just asked a lot of these questions before anybody else got the chance to ask them. It's not has to do with anything of you asking too many questions. You just come up with them first. And let's see what we have. When you said Thomas no longer sensed Tom, does this mean all season Chris has been sensing Tom or having him as a part of him? Yes.
Yeah.
In fact,
It's on his character sheet.
on his character sheet is a very important note that said, "There are strings on me." Is this why Thomas still spoke with a robo voice this whole time, even when he got his body back? That part, no.
No. That's just that's a holdover. He's not the same person that he was when he died. The Thomas Wells program is as much a part of him as the person he used to be.
Correct. This one's from Hellcat. How does bonding happen? Was Crash always bonded to Butch, or is it a relationship that happens over time?
Both. It is a relationship that happens over time, depending on how interactive you are with your own avatar. There is also a series of roles you can theoretically make to bond yourself to an avatar, or an expenditure of a very certain exact number of meta points, which will also immediately bond you to an avatar. It involves going from one end of the spectrum to the other and back very, very quickly. Consequently, it's expensive.
And some people call it a deep dive.
Crash just always kind of did it. Anytime he jumped into an avatar,
Go back and watch the show, you'll see.
yeah, you'll see he always tried to go full avatar as quickly as possible
And then back.
and then back.
It's almost like he knew what he was doing. This one is from AK. How many Nicks are there, and is Tom a Nick? Is Tom a Nick? No. How many Nicks are there is a loaded question, because how many people named Nick are we talking about? If
We know you're
referring
talking
to-
about Nick Krieger.
If you're referring to the character played by Matt Vansel that has been on this show, Nick Krieger, the pilot, there is one Nick Krieger, the pilot, played by Matt Vansel that has been on this show. I hope that was thoroughly vague. Do you prefer GMing or being a player? And do you find it challenging to be a player when you have knowledge as a GM and creator that the other people at the table do not? I think that's a you.
I feel like that is maybe a me question, because I do prefer playing to GMing. I love GMing, don't get me wrong, especially this show. But I do. I prefer to be a player. And I think that puts me... Is the question, is it challenging? Like, what's the question? Read that.
You find it challenging to be a player when you have knowledge, like because you know more than what some of the other people do.
Yeah, no, of course that's challenging, but that's also part of the way that we tell our story on this show. That's kind of like that's a very how is the sausage made kind of question. One of the things that makes this show work narratively is that one of our players is one of the writers.
It is one of the gimmicks we like to use. In
As
stage
Crash-
magicians, they call him a plant.
Yeah, I'm like the lovely assistant for a lot of little plot points. That being said, I'm very, very careful about what I know and what Crash knows,
Keeping these things separate.
and also what information he can give out or not. It's a very, very fine line to walk, and I as a player want to be surprised by things. I want to not know how things are going to go.
He does get kept in the dark on a lot of things. If
And-
I don't need to tell him, I don't.
Right, but if I ask, he has to tell me.
Yeah.
And that's just simply for conveying information, moving freight narratively. The less Crash knows, the happier I am. But the more Christian knows, the happier I am too.
It's a lovely balancing act. This one from Fadior. Is Tom gone for good? No.
No. Come on. He's such an integral part of the show to start with. I don't think we've seen the last of him. I mean, obviously we've stopped him, but what does that mean?
I think we might find out some more as we go further into Metaverse.
AK, no, Crash doesn't have restrictions like Rhodes in Hollywood.
He's
but
just played by somebody that knows more than Crash knows.
I know more than Crash does about the story. I know more about what's going to happen. I know more about where we need to end up next week than Crash does.
So he has to keep the dividing line between...
Yeah. What I use Crash for, other than a punching bag, is to convey that information. Like, you know, he knows which way the Joe's is. You know, he's the magical kid. You know, that's what he does.
It's true.
He knows more than all the other pilots.
And he knows more than all the other pilots.
He does.
And that's how we play him. But he's also doesn't know what he knows or how he knows it.
Or how to share it.
Or how to share it properly because of his communication issues, yeah.
In fact, he has less theoretical knowledge of the metaverse than Zenda has. He has actually more practical knowledge of the metaverse than Zenda has. Significantly more.
Mm-hmm.
Just articulating it is difficult for him.
Yeah, he's not the best communicator, although he's gotten a lot better over a couple of years. You know, having some very charismatic avatars has helped him relate to people a lot better, I think.
Was Heinrich meant to be the pilot for Kronos, or was there another avatar he was supposed to bond with and Kronos got in the way? Kronos was his destination when Heinrich went into Earth 668. 100%.
The bonding wasn't supposed to work exactly that way.
Not at all.
As Kronos proved a corrupting influence on Heinrich.
He essentially did what Hex and Balthazar did long before Hex and Balthazar did it, but did it on a permanent scale. Heinrich was nothing more than an extension of Kronos' will. Is the Nick we met in Yosemite the same Nick who was with Patrick and Bruno? Yes. Yes. The Matt Vancel promised Nick, that same
dude.
Nick.
Anytime you've seen Matt Vancel playing Nick, he's playing the same guy.
It's been the same Nick. And Matt Vancel has always played the same Nick every appearance on the show. Every time. Let's see. Why did Nick hide from the program?
Because Nick had been used really poorly by the program over and over again, up to and including his own death.
Oh, here's a fun one for me. Is the Nick from Yosemite the same Nick that knew Bruno and Jeb in Vietnam? No! What did the body in Nick's pod on Zarati's island look like? And related to that, how long had the duplicate Nick we saw in the hotel been around? Well, to go backwards, we saw the duplicate Nick from the hotel that we saw had been around since Zarati's island.
Mm-hmm. It's Zeratis, but, you know, whatever.
Hey, I say it the way I want to.
And I say it the way I made it up.
This is also how we create metaverses. I think that covers that part, other than, what did the body in Nick's pod on Zarati's island look like?
It looked like Nick.
Looked like Nick. Will everyone's level be revealed next season now there is someone to categorize them and a potential threat in prison?
I mean, I don't want to give anything away. Yeah, we're gonna know what level everybody is, probably in the first episode of next season. For whatever reason.
If our Meta Prime world is now cut off, is it like Farther All?
No, it is not like Farther All because it's not a multiverse, it's a metaverse.
That's right. There's a difference. Have we already found a method to circumvent that? No. Has Wendy now missed her chance to ever go to a Joe's Diner?
Nope.
No.
Nope. You're missing the one really important thing about Wendy.
Yeah.
She can go anywhere. Anytime she wants.
I think we covered this, but was it just the live show members arrested, or were there any others arrested by Rhodes? Every one of the played pilots that you have seen come into this show except for...
I would say, I'm going to go ahead and just say every one of the pilots on Metaverse Prime has been arrested.
Yes, that covers it. Every one of the pilots on Metaverse Prime is under arrest and incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone.
Except for Colonel Jackson for some reason. That's weird, right?
Oops. Oh, man, imagine that.
Maybe he's something different. Who knows?
Guess we'll figure that out at some point, won't we?
We're going to have to.
This one, Chris, I don't know if you're still in chat, but this is 100% Noti question. Will there be any more capybaras with capueras? Yeah, that's on you.
I think the capybara, who knows capoeira, wearing
With
a
a capoeira. It's going to keep showing up.
I mean, he's going to have to.
Yeah, that kind of is just going to keep showing up.
Just like, at some point in Metaverse Prime, there's going to be, or on 668 in the far future, we're gonna see that slushy machine again. Like, it's coming back. Nothing goes away forever on this show.
No.
If you guys did something to our show, we let you know you did it over and over and over again for years.
Yes.
Hey guys, remember that flood? I do. Okay.
Oh, I love it.
You asked for that flood.
I had boating. It makes sense.
Oh boy. Given we had the Metapocalypse, have Masters of the Metaverse now and Project Metaverse now become one thing, or will anything James hosts be Project? Well, we're going into a new arc here starting next month. I believe on the 12th is the official date. Yes, the 12th. Meta End begins. And no, it's not the end of Metaverse. It's just the title of the arc. You will understand why it's called that in our first episode.
Following that arc, though, we do have plans for other things. Over at least.
Any hints on new metaverses coming? Oh, go ahead.
No, you.
Doors.
Doors.
Have loot boxes now gone the way of the dinosaurs, freezing to death in a swamp? Essentially, yes, and at the same time, no. They had to come from somewhere, didn't they?
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen the last of the loot boxes.
Favorite rules of cool this season? Oh man, just about every single one.
They're all so good.
But there's some, the hits for me were the ones where everyone freaking ties and just we go with it and do it.
Yeah.
And somehow I have to make that happen, which is, just about impossible for me, but I blend it all together into something, I don't know.
Rules of cool means the battle is almost over.
Pretty much.
Which I really like.
Let's see, from Pax. How much of his old life or of his time before he was a ghost in the machine does Thomas remember?
Follow up. Will you let Jess keep her broken buff? Probably. It's her buff.
Yeah, Jess's buff remains the same.
I feel like everybody's buff is a bit broken. And that's part of the fun of it.
Okay, we got some more from submitted by message here. Excellent. Do level 3s always bond with the first avatar they go into? No.
Nope.
Not at all.
And they can choose to bond with an avatar even if they bonded to another one, as long as they're willing to give up the bond with the first one.
Can level 3s only have one avatar? And yeah, you just kind of covered that. Yes.
One bonded avatar for a level 3.
But it could change to a different one or a different one.
Aquamarine started off bonding to Lady Vale and ended up bonded to Ricci.
Yep. You just gave something away. I wonder if they picked it up. Let's see. What side was Jeb Lexington on, really? Jeb has been on one side, always one side, and that's Colonel Jackson's side.
Not always under his direct supervision, but yes.
Always on his side. Does the character's buff count for moving back and forth for a deep dive? From there, no. You can't use your buff your buff essentially counts as 1.
Uh,
You could use it to go one of the
You can use your
directions.
buff going into one direction, but you can't use it to
You
go
couldn't
both.
use it to go back.
You could spend 2 buffs and go in both directions.
That would cover
and
it.
that would be the cheapest way to do it.
Yeah, really, that would be the cheapest way to go back and forth. 2 buffs. Let's see. Also, just to poke to remind you guys to announce the start date of Season 5. Thanks, Pack. I think I got that. Let's see. Is Colonel Jackson still working for the program?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah,
I'm going to say no.
with the verbiage there, I'm going to go with no.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, no. Colonel Jackson is not still working for the
Hey,
program.
so we should give Crash 2 buffs in every metaverse he travels to? Got it.
Can you tell us who the agent is?
The agent and the operative both are just titles that are for program agents, based on whether or not they have a bonded avatar or not. The agent did not. The operative did. Ta-da!
Can technology be used to enhance the level of a pilot? That is a loaded question. Technology can be used to enhance a pilot.
That's what I'm gonna.
I don't know about enhance the level. But you
that's
could
what-
make something appear to be
That's what
something.
Project Metaverse was trying to do. It was trying to take people who are level 1 pilots and make them into level 2 and 3 pilots. That's the entire purpose of that project. It was discontinued because of several bombs.
Among other things. Let's see. Who is Tessa working for? I turn that to you if you feel like answering it.
Tessa has always worked for the Founders. She did not stop working for the Founders. Of course, she will always help family, but she is a die-hard patriot for the Founders.
Is the program still working for Colonel Jackson?
Yeah.
Yes, the program is still working for Colonel Jackson. What's left of it?
Right. Not much. They've taken quite a beating in the last few months on Prime.
Yeah, there's not much left. But
Mostly
yes.
because of Tom and the
Yeah.
things that he had those pilots do to a lot of program places.
Yeah, he really stirred up the hornet's nest on that one. Tom instigated a serious war between
Don't
founders
forget
and
the
program.
5. He also had like 12 pilots that he had working in secret doing clandestine operations against
Kill teams.
Against both the Founders and the program.
Clearing the board.
Off screen, those guys killed a lot of people.
They were clearing the board. I will not answer that one.
Which one is
Pax.
it? Oh, I don't know.
What
you can
is
answer.
Hollywood
What is
really?
Hollywood really? Hollywood is a waiter who aspires to be an actor.
Yeah. What is the difference between the founders and the program? You know, that's so philosophical. It all would depend upon who you ask. I mean, if you ask Tom, he'd say nothing.
But
If you ask a program member or a founders member, they'll say everything.
the program is based on the remnants of the Founders in ancient times who became the Holy Roman Empire, and has since the program has always been under that particular rule. So they came from the Holy Roman Empire, whereas the Founders came from the original druids and shaman and natural, magic types from times long past. Short answer. There you go.
Pretty much. Did Rhodes find Jebediah?
I'm not answering that.
Me either.
He's a pilot who was played by an actor at the studio.
Mm-hmm. That he was played by an actor in the studio, but Jebediah's pilotness is not always the same as the rest of the pilots because of his use of technology.
Yes.
Project Metaverse was designed
Partially successful.
and partially successful trying to do what Jeb had been doing for years.
Was Rosie always so suspicious, or did that develop over time?
Rosie grew up as a female in a completely male-dominated profession, whereas no matter how good she was at her job, she was always relegated to being a novelty act, simply because of her gender. So, yeah, she's had a chip on her shoulder since the very, very beginning.
Mm-hmm. What happened to the kids from season 1?
Still there.
That was quick.
Yeah.
Oh, make sure I didn't miss any.
And by the kids, I assume you mean the children? Is that right, Berserk? Because there's a distinction. Is that a spoiler?
Spoiler, that
Yeah,
is
he
a
meant
spoiler.
the children. Okay, yeah, the children are still there.
Yeah, that's a distinction. That's a huge distinction, actually.
Were there goats in season 1 that don't count?
There's always goats in every episode. We keep them in the background.
Ooh, two good ones back to back. Was there anything this season that you wish had gone differently?
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted no snow so we could finish the Iron Kingdoms.
Oh, that kind of differently. Okay.
I wish that what happened to Zenda didn't happen to Zenda. That was not planned.
Yeah, that actually was completely not planned. That all happened spontaneous.
Mm-hmm. And the consequences.
The
have been-
consequences have,
we had to deal with them the whole rest of the season because of it.
Yeah, they've
it threw
unfolded.
off Tom's original plan by a lot.
Yeah, it changed a lot of things. Like there was a lot of rewrites that happened just because of those actions. Changed things quite substantially. And changed things for that character even more substantially.
Yeah. Yeah, that poor bastard.
He's just been screwed and screwed and screwed.
Yep. Don't worry, I'm sure that's all over now.
How consistent is time between metaverses? Not consistent at all. Time between metaverses, almost an impossible variable.
Yeah. You can never tell. I mean, we've gone into the same world in 3 different time periods now.
Were you ever worried that the PM pilots would not save Butch?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a very, very real concern.
Tom saved Butch.
But yeah, when you look at it, Tom is the guy who stepped in and saved Butch because he needed Butch to be alive for his plan to work.
Mandatory.
So in that case, it didn't too much matter what the pilots did.
No. They could have made things happen a lot differently, though.
Oh yeah, that was the whole original Project Metaverse arc. They had the opportunity to make things go hundreds of different ways, and the rest of the series has been based off the decisions they made in those first 6 episodes.
Yeah, the farther you go back, the more directions they could have gone, but the closer we get towards the ending, the more they narrowed their paths and narrowed their focus, so there was only one way left.
Alienator asks, how much does Migraine know about metaverses other than 668?
I'm going to leave that to you.
More than he used to.
Who were the Dark Watchers?
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm not answering that one.
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
How long, time-wise, in Metaverse Prime since the series started? I assume you mean all the way back the very, very first Masters of the Metaverse episode.
What was that now? What's the
How
question?
long ago, timeline-wise, in their Prime world has passed since the very first Metaverse episode to our current?
More than 2 years, less than 3.
Yeah.
So about the same amount of time.
Ooh, I like this one. So was there anything that could have been done to have made Tom not be evil? What things could we or the pilots have done? Well, first off, Tom wasn't evil.
Yeah.
Not even remotely. I mean, as people say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Tom had nothing but the best intentions.
He was here to serve.
Nothing but the best intentions.
One of the things that put him down the dark path was getting stuck in Billy the Kid,
Yeah.
experiencing emotion for the first time.
Abby, Billy the Kid, his exposure to avatars directly caused it.
Yep, having to be in avatars was a big problem for him, and one of the main things that corrupted him. One of the others was giving him his own buff.
Yes.
When chat gave him his own buff and his own boxes and his own free will, that was basically one of the first nails in the coffin that was
That
going
was
to be
the
Tom.
beginning of the end for him, yeah.
He got a little bit too much stuff.
Yep. Let's see.
Hey, Paximo, she's like, my fault, she says, but you know what? It was all of your fault. you all did this.
You
You did it with us, so we all did it together.
Yeah,
It
if
was
you're gonna
great.
toss blame around, I wrote it.
Yeah. There you go.
If you're gonna blame somebody,
There you go. Blame him.
just look right here.
And we set up Tom to break your heart. I mean, that's what he was
That was the
supposed to
plan.
do. Like,
Plan.
you want those of you who were against him from the beginning, and those of you who 100% believed in him as a hero from the beginning, like you both had your expectations kind of turned on their ear a little bit.
I spent a year waiting to kick you in the gut with it. We talked about that for a solid year.
Plus, it gave guys like Mark and AK a chance to finally say "I told you so" after being so consistently wrong for 2 years. I mean, like over and over again with the wrong.
How much would Christian do to set us up for that? A lot.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they took a lot of groundwork, a lot of footwork. That was a lot of planning.
But whereas in the beginning we did very, very little in the way of planning, now we're planned out months in advance what we're going to do, so we have lots of time to talk about it before the day happens, and there are a lot less surprises.
Yes. No spells meant for demons. Yeah. I can agree with that. Will we have new pilots or actors this next season?
Maybe some. We'll see. We don't know. I'm very happy with the cast we have.
Mm-hmm.
I love them. I want them to always come back.
Mm-hmm.
But people's schedules get in the way. A lot of these people are professional working actors, and getting them to come in on a Monday night when they could be rehearsing or filming something that's paying them a lot better might not be a reality. However, we're asking everybody to come back.
We're gonna see some faces we haven't seen in a while.
And we're gonna see some faces we haven't seen in a while, and we're probably gonna see some new faces by the end of the season. That's just the way it is.
Oh yeah. Is there a reason the pilots and avatars almost always seem to be the same sex?
A lot of that is to do with identity.
Yes.
They are more naturally drawn to avatars that they would identify with, and if that identity is based in any way on gender, then they're going to probably, The idea is I'm not trying to make the actors or characters uncomfortable in their new skins.
Mm-hmm. And by default,
and there's no reason to make a joke out of that.
Yeah, it's not, and we don't want to belittle anyone who is actually having to deal with any kind of struggle.
But I also know for a fact that next season we do have some misgendered avatars.
Oh yeah.
Just because, I mean, that's just the way that's going to pan out.
Yes, 100%, and it's for the best in some of these cases.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, a trans person would be more attracted to their identified sex. That would be.
It's what's in here and what's in here, as far as going to the avatars, and a lot less about genitals because those apparently don't matter over existential spaces. Weirdly, right?
Yeah, amazing how that isn't really a factor.
The cartoon
Hellcat.
characters even have genitals?
Hellcat asked, do the actors know the connects
Between-
between the pilots and the avatars so that they help develop them?
They rarely know. But
They
sometimes
rarely know, but we also create those, we create all the avatars, and we create them for the pilots.
Yes.
So we keep those things in mind. A lot of that comes from the fact that in some metaverses they call them two-souled, and the souls have to be compatible. You can't bond with an avatar you're not compatible with. You
Nope.
can go into an avatar you're not compatible with, and you can you know, ride him around like a little puppet, but you're not going to get anything out of that experience other than having really ruined somebody's day.
Yeah, and putting them in that same situation, even in a case like with our Borks, that was a very disagreeable situation for those Borks.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very disagreeable situation with those pilots. And if you look at that episode, you know, not to give too much behind the scenes away, they didn't really do a whole lot to alter or change things in that metaverse at all. Nothing that would be considered a breach of metaverse enforcement. Yet, Rhodes showed up and kicked them out of those avatars. So you just digest that and maybe come to your own conclusions.
Are avatars and pilots drift compatible then? In the simplest sense, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're using that particular method of connection, yeah, they're what we would call drift compatible if they were in fact trying.
So
to
Rosie could not,
robots.
but you know, while theoretically possible that Rosie could have, I suppose, again, in theory, bonded with the nose. Rosie was placed in the nose by Tom. He burned some of those points to force her into an avatar that was not.
That she would never
She
want
would
to
never
bond
naturally bond with, or even be in that avatar. Period.
with. There was nothing about Rosie that identified with that avatar
At
up
all.
to and including gender.
Mm-hmm. Has a pilot ever married their avatar?
The problem with that would be that they don't ever really get to meet. You know?
I remember back in, I think, season 1, someone told the pilots they only had one avatar per world, but somehow Thomas had 2 in 668. Was this wrong? Or was this being glitchy? And on that same token, someone else had 2 in 668 as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be Andy Jennings. 2 avatars in 668.
So the level 4 and the level 5 have both had more than one avatar in 668.
Yes. The level 4 and the level 5 have had more than one avatar in 668. Yes, this is so. I really don't think
And
there's
that
anything
has
else to say
nothing to
about it.
do with the dome. It has everything to do with the pilots involved.
Yes. There's something different, man. Again, he just kind of answered that.
There's
Nothing
something
to do.
different about 668. There is something different about 668. It's the only metaverse that we've gone to in completely disparate timelines.
Yes.
We've never explained why that is, and I'm not going to do it soon. And certainly not today.
No, maybe next year. Maybe.
Will the pilots ever meet their avatars in person? I hope so. I would love to see those meetings happen. I think they'll be awkward to play, but you know, the fact is I just don't know.
Did the program know about level 4 and 5?
No,
no.
they didn't know about levels. They have no idea about pilot classification.
At all.
They can test for basically one genetic marker and, you know, hope for the best. Right now, they're under the impression that, you know, if you train a level 1 hard enough, you might become a level 2. You know, like, they think that it might be...
They have a lot of strange ideas.
It's
about
just
the
because,
metaverse.
like, when they put a level 1 and a level 3 in the same pot at the same time and don't know the difference between them, one of them gets more powerful over time, but they start at the same level, one of them just surpasses it. So they don't know. They just think
They
some
really
people
don't
are
know
better
much
at
of
it than
anything.
others.
Yeah, they really don't know much of anything about it. They are dipping their toe into the pool still.
Does Metaverse enforcement know about the pillars? Yes.
How aware is the intellect of an avatar of the pilot's intellect that is inhabiting them? Fully.
Yeah.
They're both aware. 2 people are in there most of the time.
Oh.
Things can be a little weird,
Yeah,
though.
most of the time, the avatar is not aware of the pilot. 90% of the time, the avatar is never aware of the pilot unless the pilot makes
Wants him
themselves
to be.
known. Right. And then, that's not an easy conversation to have.
No. Let's see. Are pilots like... I don't know anything about Pokemon, so I can't answer that.
Are pilots like Pokemon? What does that even
I don't
mean?
understand. Here's a question. Can the arena be explained a little? The whole movie metaverse to somehow pilots around the world outside the dome is a bit confusing. Watch the next arc.
Yeah, no, we're gonna get into that. Arena is a ever shifting. Arena is a bit more like Toyland than it is just like standard 668.
Absolutely, that is a beautiful way of putting
It is a latching pocket metaverse that attaches itself and integrates itself fully with another metaverse. Insinuates itself.
Pilots like Pokemon, train them to level up. That's what the program thinks. The program thinks you can train pilots to make them better.
And you can, because you can give them training that they can teach their avatars and vice versa. But it's not as cut and dry as they would like it to believe.
Yeah, they think it's really straightforward. It's not at all.
Yes, Berserk, it was a place and not an illusion thingamajig.
Yes. How many kinds of metaverse are there? Oh man, that's a loaded question in itself.
Yeah, I mean, that we've talked about, 2 or 3. 2 or 3.
3. And even that's kind of weird because
like the second type, there are several types of. It's just.
But Toyland, not a metaverse, but also sort of a metaverse.
Not a metaverse.
So that is almost its own category right there. Will we ever find out what was up with the magic thing Aquamarine brought back from that one metaverse?
Probably.
Where did Nick and Tessa get the device to travel as themselves to other metaverses? Nope, not touching that one. Sorry.
You technically can touch that one, because there's only 2, a level 4 pilot that day.
Yes. A level 4 pilot.
That's where they got that device. If you're familiar with any pilots that are good with devices, it was one of them.
Yeah. One of those pilots did that. What are the memories that Crash had erased? Ooh. Lots.
Yeah, he's had a couple of memory wipes.
More than once.
More than once. He had a troubled childhood. But, it really comes down to he was, trained in metaverses and then taken out of those metaverses and tested by Cole to see what he learned is gross. Alienator, is Jeb a level 4? Not all the time.
No, not all the time. When the program killed all the potential avatars in the Dolphin Alien Invasion metaverse, did that show up on Rhodes' radar?
Yes.
Absolutely did.
That is technically, although it could not be proven, one of the first infractions of Prime.
Is Crash a clone?
No.
Are forces like the Tribunal, maybe got the term wrong, responsible for places like Fartherall being locked? Or is being locked a natural occurrence in the metaverse? Multiverse, metaverse. Not the same.
Not the same. It is more certainly being locked by that metaverse enforcement is a good possibility.
Does Crash have clones? I'm going to skip that question, but can metapilots be cloned? Yeah.
Yep. Can be done. I mean, yeah, as he said, Nick's got clones and Nick's a pilot, so. Yeah, but then Nick's not. Let them think what they want. Nothing?
No, not at all. Fartherall has always been a multiverse, not a metaverse. Okay, we can't retcon anything about Fartherall.
Right, we don't touch.
We don't touch
Fartherall.
We make none of the decisions about it, so it can't be a retcon. That's all 100% in Vansel's department.
Mm-hmm. We've locked it just to basically keep from messing up his world that is not done being made. We still have other projects to work on.
So you could mass produce level 5 pilots. No.
Who said that and why?
Because they assume that cloning pilots means that the pilot is a pilot.
Right. Okay. So, no, that's perfectly a legitimate assumption to make.
That is
if you
legitimate.
clone a pilot, you get a pilot. So if you clone a level 5, you get a level 5, and that's unfortunately not the way it works.
Not at all.
They were hoping that was the way it
Yeah,
worked.
that was the plan. Yeah, not so much.
But it did not work out the way they had hoped. And they ended up with things that were not level 5 pilots. People.
In fact, connected to that, if you cloned a bonded pilot, would they be bonded to the same avatar as the base pilot? No, absolutely not. In fact, if you cloned a pilot, they wouldn't have any of the bleed at all. Any of it.
They're not called two-celled, they're called two-souled.
Who have been some of your favorite villains to play? I didn't play them, but Mansplainer is where it's at.
Baron Munchplainen? I loved Baron Munchplainen. I really liked all the fairy court guys in the Iron Kingdom. All those scary, creepy fae were my favorite to play, I think. As far as villain characters. And Tom. I love playing Tom.
Tom was great. Could you even be a pilot if you're a clone? Heinrich was a pilot. Heinrich was a clone. So, yes.
Shit.
Things didn't work out so well for him, though.
Nope. He got oblivionated.
I mean, even before all that, the whole bonding thing, just not so hot.
Yeah, we know Vansa wants to come back too. He had a lot of fun on this show, and we look forward to having more fun with him in the future when he can
Oh, yeah.
be here. He's always got a spot at the table, trust me.
Yep.
Is the only 3 level 5s per metaverse a hard rule or a soft rule?
Man, this is a difficult question to ask or answer in that simple of a fashion.
Yeah, but we're going to call it a soft rule because I don't believe in hard rules.
There's
Everything
always
has
exceptions.
There's always exceptions.
I can say that there's a lot of individuals who would like it to be a hard rule. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any silly superheroes you created that you haven't gotten to share with us yet? No spoilers. Oh, wow. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Are the summer court nicer than those winter court jerks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're nicer.
Was Heinrich a pile of raging hate before Kronos? He was not as nearly unbalanced, but he had some severe issues in regards to Crash Jackson. Absolutely.
Yeah, there was a bit of definite,
And
jealousy.
Severe. He's already a sociopath, psychopath. He had a lot of things, but not exactly the most pleasant upbringing or existence. Heinrich was a weapon. He was weaponized.
Yeah, and
It didn't work out so well.
Yeah, he got more than he bargained for when he tried to bond Kronos, and it just kind of ended up working the other way around because Kronos was just a little bit too much.
Was the other level 5 for the Prime Metaverse, the one that, the other natural one that we haven't met yet, been arrested as well? I think we can answer that one.
You really?
I think we can.
Okay. I already did.
I know.
Okay. We already answered that.
Let's see.
What level pilot was Heinrich?
What level
5?
No.
No.
Heinrich was a 3.
One bonded avatar. He only had even bleed from one avatar. In fact, he'd only ever been in one avatar.
Ever.
Goes Colonel Jackson.
He's not arrested.
What are some of your favorite waffles? Oh man, well, for me, because early on, the beginning one, Helen doing the Tom song, still probably my favorite waffle. The next one has got to be the High King song that Christian did the other week. That was great.
the folk death metal song I did that was just a recipe for a bechamel sauce, I enjoyed, and the Journey Obi-Wan Kenobi Faithfully cover.
Oh,
I
yeah.
loved that one.
I liked that too. Have any of the pilots ever been married or had kids? Yes.
Thomas, for example, was married, didn't have kids.
Bruno has kids.
Bruno got kids.
Bruno wasn't ever married.
Bruno probably got kids Bruno don't know about. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
All on the line of duty, of course. I said duty.
Yes, you did say duty.
Yeah, Thomas's wife cheated on him with Nick.
This is true.
Oh, poor Thomas. Has anybody got more of the shaft than Thomas in this whole show? I'm
That
gonna say
guy.
no. I'm gonna say no.
How does the class of pilot affect which avatar a person jumps to? Is there a correlation?
The correlation is between the pilot, not the pilot's class.
Yes. 100% the pilot.
It's about the person, not the power,
Not the power
level
level.
of the person.
But as Heinrich witnessed, and you've seen in the show, there can be consequences to not having enough strength to resist whoever you end up jumping into.
Also, try not to bond with too many psychics. They're the worst.
Yeah, bonding with psychics is
Especially if they have any kind of telepathy. It's just a bad idea because then, what I said earlier about avatars not knowing the pilots are there, that changes.
do avatars have classes? You know? Yes,
Yeah, I mean, they do.
absolutely. In fact, it's almost like this parallel line.
How has having your own studio space impacted the show?
I am not melting in this chair.
It didn't take me 2.5 hours to drive here.
Yeah. We have a hospitality station. I can have coffee.
Our own coffee.
Our pilots avatars and avatars pilots.
Not exactly. No. I'm just going to go ahead and say no. Because that is a very, very complicated answer. And no is the shortest way to get it across.
But I will add to that, very often it is true, though.
Yeah.
Very often it is true. Don't call that a hard and fast rule, though.
That is a very soft rule, but there are cases where an avatar can be a pilot and or the other way around.
Yes. Could chat have separated Heinrich and Kronos? No, by the time you ran into him as an entity in the show, Heinrich was gone. The very first time you saw him in the Prime World fighting with Patrick and Bruno, that was Kronos, not Heinrich. He lasted about 30 seconds into his bonding with Kronos.
Nah, then he wasn't really him anymore
No.
after that. He was...
There wasn't anything left.
Well, I mean, definitely the shell, that hatred was still there, all the bad feelings were still there, but the shadow of a personality was just, it was pretty much all
It didn't help his case that he really never had a whole lot of personality. Like, just wasn't. I mean, he was a weapon.
He clinical
Trained from birth to
upbringing,
be
yeah.
a soldier. Just, this wasn't like a stable human being.
He was never supposed to be a human being. He was,
He was a tool.
Yeah, think like what Black Widow talked about having been done to her as a child, and that's Heinrich.
Yeah. On one hand, horribly, horribly sad, but
But he's a bad guy, so
Yeah.
and also he's dead now. So
very dead. Very, very, very dead.
you don't get more dead than that. We Vansel killed him.
Yes.
And that Chris has an excellent point that the studio has been much easier for many of us,
And much harder.
and much harder for the Odies specifically because they
Yeah,
live.
that is
they,
they have a brutal commute to
they
here.
live a lot closer to the old place than they do to here.
But man, is it really convenient for us down south.
Yeah, for those of us that would be taking the bus here, it works out a lot better.
Will we ever meet Crash and Tessa's mom, and does she know what the Metaverse is? I'm going to turn that one to you.
I'm not answering that question.
I'm glad you're not answering that question.
I'm not answering that question.
Will we ever see the meta pilots travel into avatars that are members of a small-time movie production company that relies mostly on crowdfunding and an insanely overworked person named Ben?
Nobody wants to jump into that avatar.
Nope.
You know, given what
I don't
Zoe
like
is,
saying ever, so I'm going to say that it's possible.
I have a
Sure.
feeling that'll be a filmed sketch at some point, but probably not a full game.
I can go with that. Yeah, it is not ever going to be a, yeah. The metaverse, yeah.
Is that right? All right, are we out of questions?
I think we might be out of questions. Let me double check. I haven't gotten any new ones. So,
Because of course, I mean, we love hearing from you.
nope, I don't have any new ones in. Oh,
That's awesome. I absolutely support Masters of the Metaverse Rude Mechanical, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Something like that would be super fun, and I would probably run it as, like I said, a sketch or a live show.
it would need to be a live show to be great. You know?
Yeah, but it would be fun. I think we could do both at the same time.
Is the similarity between the Gamers Riding Heroes and the Gamer series and Pilots avatars intentional?
Yep.
You heard it.
Yep. When we first started the show, Chris ordered it and asked me if there was a way to take the Gamers Live show that we do at conventions and make it into an actual tabletop game. I said no. But I thought this would be a good alternative to it, and it has a lot of the flavor of that without being the same.
Why did Tom wear Hawaiian shirts? Well, initially when we discussed Tom, we were going to dress him like one of those missionary kids you see riding the streets handing out the pamphlets and the white button up with the tie and everything.
Maybe a name tag.
It was on sale at Target.
It was on sale.
But
at
then we
Target.
saw it, we made a joke about it, and then we came back to it and we said, yeah, this is it.
This is going to be the best $8 we ever spent, and it was. Gosh, that shirt.
It's right behind you.
Oh God, there it is. Whoa. Yeah, no, it's been around the block now.
What has been the best part about making a show and a story that's completely... you're kind of covered. The question is the answer.
Yeah,
the best part has been making a show that is completely original and our own creation.
Yeah.
That's been, no, that's the second best part. The best part's really been you guys.
Yeah,
'Cause
the people.
honestly,
God.
telling a story is cool and all to my friends when we're just sitting around rolling some dice. That's great. It's not that I don't enjoy that, but this is like a whole giant step up from that just makes it...
When we set out to make this show, the idea was that we wanted the audience to be as big a part of it as the players were, and I feel that we have accomplished that 100-fold. You know, this when I say at the beginning of the show that this is the most interactive tabletop game on all of the internet, I don't feel that I am being in any way false.
No.
There's no other show out there where the audience controls so much of what happens on the show. And I wouldn't change a thing about it. Nor would I ever run a show like this again.
Yes and yes. Any thought of Masters of the Metaverse RPG book?
Yep.
Funny you should mention
Yeah,
that.
we've thought about it a lot. You wanna help us fund that? Because we'd be happy to write it for you.
Somebody's got to pay for it.
Our time is valuable. We've decided so. But it's definitely on the to-do list. It's something that I want to put out, and I think
Absolutely.
that it will be awesome. We've hacked that system enough now to where it's not even the same. So
Yeah, we made some severe modifications.
it's practically a standalone game at this point.
How much does having the chat up live affect the show, and in what way? Oh, many
in
ways.
every way.
Man, the interaction from the things you guys say, the interaction from the way you can change the game by buying things. The interaction like that you can buy something that you don't even need to buy just so you can get the voice to say something.
Guys, your fan fiction affects our game.
Yep.
Where else does that happen? It doesn't. It just doesn't. We have to plan so much around what we don't know on this show because of you that we really do never know what's going to happen. We can write 15 pages of story a week easy, but we don't know how much of it's going to happen because of what you guys do.
I have to keep it to.
Transformer all of a sudden.
Yep,
Right.
I have
Plus
to keep
the
it to
things-
notes so I
yeah.
can adapt on the fly.
Yeah, plus the things that you do don't just go away. Like up to and including the hack attacks, when those happen,
They get
those
far
are
away.
forever. They are part of the show now.
What were some of the things about chat, the community, that have surprised you?
How long that they have stuck around?
What's Christian's favorite thing to drink while playing RPGs? I don't know, man. Coffee might be up there. We drink a
We drink a
crap
lot
ton
of
of coffee at
coffee.
your house when
Yeah.
we're playing.
Lots of caffeine, no alcohol.
What
That's
did
what
I
like to
name the
drink
pet
during
kraken
RPGs.
you gave me? I actually didn't name the pet kraken yet. Currently, it has a name that the Atlanteans are calling it. They're calling it the Calamity. But they don't really have an official name for it. It's just the Calamity.
Jared. That's perfect. His name is Jared. Okay.
Jared the Clown.
Yes, all actors are powered by coffee and or alcohol. The ones on this show are just powered by coffee. Most of the time.
Seriously, you want to know what the backstory of the kraken that you hacked into existence is?
Oh, don't answer him. It's just berserk. We don't have to listen to him. He's a bad friend.
Well, the backstory is these guys in this thing called chat paid for a hack attack. And then it came into the game.
The backstory is we wrote this fabulous narrative that stretches over several years, and you keep throwing random crap into it. And
I love
naming
it.
it.
And I
And
love
making
it.
stuff come to life that doesn't live.
And I love that too. It's great.
And all we can do about it are two things: nothing and like it.
I mean, they gave us the chat box.
They did give us the Chad Blaster. Hey baby, how you doing? So there is that.
Is the kraken married? No, the kraken is not married. Accepting proposals, though, if you're interested.
Taking quarters.
Uh-huh. Tends to eat them. Just a warning.
That's Jared. Okay.
Yes. All right, guys, last couple of minutes before you get any of this, are we going back to Questlandia?
I would, yes. That's a short answer. Yes.
Short answer.
We will be stopping by Questlandia at some point. There was a hack attack down there. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Has a hack attack ever gotten you out of a bad spot?
Plenty of times.
Yeah, a couple of times you've turned around some very one-sided fights. In fact, there was a couple that they were straight up supposed to lose. That you've turned
And there was
around with
just
hack
no way
attacks.
to make that happen because of your hack.
I'm not sure I can answer the one about demon hunters or not.
That is something that we are talking about. It's originally when we made Masters of the Metaverse. What I had pitched to them was a Demon Hunters show, and that didn't end up happening for various reasons. I still am very in love with that world and would love to do something there. I would love to make it a metaverse at some point. I would also just love to do a Demon Hunter show. So,
Mm-hmm. Both would be good. August 12th.
thank you.
August 12th.
August 12th, what?
Monday.
August 12th?
Meta End. Episode 1.
September 12th?
I think it's August.
Is it August 12th?
Yes.
Yeah, if you guys are ready, so you'll be back.
Yep, it's August 12th.
Well, all right then.
August 12th. Metaverse Returns. Episode 1 of the Meta End arc. Scheduled to run through December.
That's right. Well, what has been your favorite avatar to play?
Well, I didn't really get to answer that one, so I'll pass.
Because you only had the one, right? You've only had.
He was great. Iron Jack was freaking awesome.
It's a cast survey. Maggie, Christian, and Mark. Okay, that seems fair. Well, Mark has only got to play Bruno. He hasn't even got to like hang out in an avatar.
He spent like 3 seconds in Avatar
Yeah.
total.
What was your favorite avatar to play that was not your avatar from a meltdown? Oh man, I've loved some of the meltdowns. You guys are great at those.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh, Johnny Appleseed. Hands down, I love getting to play Johnny Appleseed because I get to do the voice. Makes me happy.
I like that.
What about you, Maggie? What's been your favorite avatar?
That's too hard. I like all of my like each avatar. I don't have a favorite. I know it sounds silly, like a mom being like I don't have a favorite kid, but like they're all my favorite for different reasons.
Yeah. Which one are you bonded to?
Hex Destiny. And I love. I mean, Hex. I guess if I was like had to pick one, Hex would be my favorite.
You've also spent the most time with her.
But that's the thing is I've spent the most time with her. So like if I had spent as much time with Annie Oakley, she could have taken. You know, it's a hard one. And then for a meltdown, I have no idea. My brain doesn't work right now.
That's okay. I don't know. I've liked so many of the meltdowns. The Galaxy Tales meltdown. Though that last one was pretty great.
Yeah. They were all-
I don't know. It's hard if you guys could say. But if we're gonna throw them into meltdowns, that whole improv bit that they all do really comes out and gets to shine, and they're really damn good at it. It's what they do. It's just there is never a meltdown that isn't entertaining. It's an impossibility.
Yeah, they're always entertaining for one reason or another, even if it's just us switching hats.
Anything you can tell us about what Harvey really is?
Yeah.
Fair.
Sure. What do you want to know? I mean,
Harvey is Faye.
Harvey is he's what?
Faye.
Yeah, Harvey's Fae.
Yeah,
he's
Harvey's
a
Fae.
He's a Fae creation. He is a spell that was placed on Hex at birth to protect her, and he is not easy to get rid of. He exists both in the Feywild and the Prime Material Plane at the same time, which is why he can never be seen, because his physical body is visible only there.
Is Thomas Atlantean no longer controlled and free to think on his own now? Was it Thomas being controlled or the Avatar? I can partially answer that. The Avatar was being controlled, and that's as much as that question I'll be willing to answer right now. Will we find out more about the Titan Force in the coming seasons? Perhaps.
Yeah, it's something that spans multiple metaverses. So yeah.
So Harvey's a changeling. Is Harvey the rabbit?
Harvey is the rabbit. Yes, Harvey is the giant 8-foot were-bunny, carnivorous were-bunny.
Oh, this is a good one. We should put this one to bed.
Yeah.
Are the Fae in 668 and the Fae in the Iron Kingdom from the same place?
No.
Different metaverses, guys.
Different Fae rules too.
Very different Fae rules.
Is Harvey married? Harvey is a rabbit.
He better not have a boo on the side.
Yeah, he's been hitting little bunny Foo-Foo for the last. Yeah, just bopping him on the head, if you know what I mean.
Berserker, in both cases, the Feywild are parts of their respective metaverses. They are not separate. The Feywild is not its own metaverse that's separate.
It's part of that. It's part of that metaverse.
668's Feywild is part of 668. The Iron Kingdom's Feywild is part of the Iron Kingdom.
And never shall the two meet. Well, maybe not never.
We never say never. I think that about covers it.
Yeah.
Is there something else you feel like?
Oh yeah, I want to give them away. I want to give away all the secrets.
Let me think of a
to
secret
next
we haven't
season.
given. Okay, well, we want to give them a secret for next season. Yeah, we should give them a next secret for next season.
Let's see if. Well, maybe if. Hold on a second. I've got a great idea.
Uh-oh. And now I'm alone and on camera, and this is really strange.
No, it's not.
And he's back. Good. I was hoping I didn't have to try and come up with a monologue because I would
Nope.
absolutely fail.
All right. So here's where we're gonna go. Season 5, we are going to start.
Masters of the Metaverse, masters of the Metaverse, they travel through time and space and stuff. Control them, re-roll them, throw them above. They fly through dimensions, this isn't a bluff. Heroes compelled, they have no choice. Bound by the winds of a secret voice. Masters of the Metaverse, masters of the Metaverse. Masters of the Metaverse, masters of the Metaverse.